Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about the final episode of Star Trek Prodigy, Episode 20, Supernova Part 2. I'm here with Commodore Boone, just the two of us today. How you doing, Commodore?
Happy New Year, everybody. I'm doing great. As you see, I got the hat on, got the flashing glasses. The Commodore's back. We're ready to rock and roll here. Let's go.
Yep. Now, most people do expect us to usually do a live stream of this, but because we
Yeah,
have our award ceremony later on today, they're both clashing. So we decided to do a quick recording. Cheetah's unable to join us as he's still working. So myself and Boone are going to be continuing the proceedings. So this is the final episode, and I have to say, Boone, even though I very much was looking forward to this series to end, and I couldn't wait for it to end,
mm,
I had a tear in my eye,
I did
with
too.
this fun, like
Yep,
I wrote on one of my Facebook pages that I cried like a fucking bitch,
I did.
tears of joy, absolute tears
Yep,
of joy. Though I was drowning in it, and those are sort of moments that make you very much appreciate Star Trek, Starfleet. A lot of convenience as well. Don't get me wrong.
mhm,
When you're wrapping everything up in a tiny little bow, you shave a few corners here and there, like their court case and all of that.
right.
But overall, a nice end to this episode. But not everything
Yes.
was concluded, because as we know, I think there will be a season two. But apparently, what I've heard through the grapevine, that there will be a season two of this show, and
Mhm,
season two will basically be the search for Chakotay. You know what I mean? Star Trek season two, the search for Star Trek Prodigy season two, the search for Chakotay, because that particular storyline has not been resolved. But the one that has been resolved is that of the
right.
living construct, as we saw at the beginning of this episode. Um,
Yep.
Hologram Janeway decides to sacrifice herself for the greater good by sending the protostar into warp and blowing itself up in warp. So that way, the destruction of the living construct within the protostar will be destroyed at different time zones or different periods, because it's being destroyed in warp. So in a way, it has less
Yep.
of an effect in in the galaxy that it's in. I hope that makes sense. And by
It
doing so,
does.
obviously, by doing so, we do say goodbye to Hologram Janeway, because she wasn't able to make a copy of herself. And
Yep.
our crew basically creates a very basic shuttlecraft for them to
Yep.
escape in. And so the Protostar, the ship we've been calling home for almost 20 episodes, um, is gone. You know, so long, Protostar. It was nice knowing you, I guess. But theoretically, there is one in the future, I guess, depending on what timeline you want to go into. So, but yeah, the living construct virus is being destroyed, and
Yeah.
eventually, yeah, so that's been dealt with as well. And I have to say, like
Oh,
when the protostar did blow up, I mean, like it left some sort of nebula like explosion. Like it was
yep.
beautiful. The way it went. So that was very nice. But
It made it made a nice wormhole to go
mhm.
through. Yep.
I do apologize about my birds, but they're birds. So what would you expect? So
Bird.
yeah, exactly. So yes, I know. You want me to put you back? I try to put you back. No, no, don't stick your head in my mouth. There's no food in there.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, I was eating a kebab earlier, and he was sticking his head in my mouth. Him and Juicy,
Uh,
the two birds that are used to me.
yeah.
They was well, my two other birds, which are not used to me. I'm trying to feed them, but they're still a bit scared.
Yep.
But time. Hopefully, time will change things. So eventually, so back on Earth, we have an analysis of what happened. Regarding the living construct and all of that. Janeway obviously is on the side of the kids, because she knows exactly what's going on.
Yep.
Eventually, the kids get found in space, and they get brought to Earth, and then immediately they're put to trial. And it kind of reminded me of Star Trek 4, I believe, at the end of Star Trek 4, when Kirk and his crew faced the music for stealing
Yep.
the Enterprise in Star Trek 3. Is that correct? Yeah.
Very good.
And
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
It is. Yeah.
because they saved Earth in Star Trek 4, the,
Hmm.
the worst thing that happens to them is Kirk getting demoted to captain,
Right.
so he can end up taking the captain's chair again and flying around space. So if anything, he got what he wanted. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
so,
That,
yeah,
that's
so,
that's what he always wanted to be back as a captain because I don't think he really liked to be an admiral because I mean you're sitting at a desk all day.
He does tell that to Picard, doesn't he, in Star Trek
Yes.
Generations?
Uh,
Because I think Picard at that particular point in his career had the chance to become admiral, and he said, "Don't do
yeah.
it. Don't whatever you do, don't let them take you away from that chair." You know what I
Right.
mean? Which was an yeah. So, hello, my fat boy, my big fat boy.
Don't
Yes, you
do.
are.
Don't let them promote you.
You're a
Don't
big
let
fat
them
boy.
do anything to you. Long as you're sitting in that chair on that bridge, you can make a difference.
Yes,
That's
yes,
what he said.
yes.
Yep.
This guy used to be so scared of me.
Not
And
anymore.
the progress we've made, I'm rubbing his belly and everything. The progress we made is beautiful. But mate, you have to go over there now. Like, get off my hand.
There
Get
you
off my
go.
hand. Oh, get off my hand. There we go. All right. So
He flew the coop.
sorry. Anyway,
He he,
okay.
he flew the coop back in
Oh
the
yes,
gate.
yes he did. Yes he
Yes.
did. He's on top of the case. So eventually after the court case had proceeded, and Janeway basically gave reasonings of why they shouldn't be reprimanded for anything because they pretty much saved the Earth, saved the universe, all of that shit.
Right.
Um, all of the crew, all of the protostar crew members are acquitted. Nothing's going to be happening to them, and five of them
Except
are
for one.
actually allowed to work. Well, no, they're all acquitted, but five of them are allowed to join Starfleet
Right.
or work with Starfleet. One of them can't, and
Right.
that's Gwyn because her species,
Right.
in theoretically, have not been discovered yet. Even
Right.
though they have, but they haven't timeline wise. Her planet, people on the planet have not been discovered yet, so she has to go. First contact needs to be made on her planet, and so she can't join Starfleet until at least that's happened. So she has to go
Exactly.
back to her planet, which is what's going to probably happen. Um, in season two at some point. We might see that in separate episodes. I think,
They probably
in
will. I would think we
season
would.
two, yeah. But everyone else is allowed to join Starfleet as let me remind myself warrant officers in
Right.
training under Admiral Janeway.
Mhm.
And we see moments like rok-tahk becoming a science officer and becoming a new
Yeah.
species
Pretty cool.
sort of science officer. We
Yep.
see Jake and Pog showing off his engineering skills with his hand. He can change it to all these different things like Iron Man.
And
We can,
and he had a lot of fun scaring them by his hand
yeah,
changing and screwing that bolt out.
yeah,
And he goes,
yeah. I like that. You can tell
I like that. He's a good guy.
you can tell he's going to be a piss taker. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, Zero getting a brand new
Oh
up
man,
to
that
date
was
body.
sweet. A brand
Yeah,
new
that was nice.
outfit for that guy. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, and we don't really. I mean, and we see Dahl and Gwyn saying their goodbyes. Obviously, there's
Yep.
a romance there, but it
Oh
can't really
yes.
proceed.
Oh yeah.
It can't really proceed because they have to do what they have to do. Dahl obviously being part of Starfleet now, or to a
Right.
degree, and Gwyn having to go back home for first contact. And then we see a brand new
Total
protostar.
star.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's the protostar class now. The ship is a
Yes.
class.
Yes.
Yeah, so the protostar is the class, but that is not necessarily their ship. Their ship is, well, we don't know what their ship is because Admiral
I
Janeway
bet,
says, well,
bet it will be.
this Admiral Janeway says something to him, well, that's not the you want to see something else? I've got a bigger surprise for you.
Okay.
And that's when the episode ends.
Yes.
And it was really nice. Just like finally, like our new guys, they got into Starfleet. I would have liked an episode, maybe of them being involved in Starfleet, like a bit more. I think this
Mhm.
final episode, episode 20, needed to be maybe 35, 40 minutes long. It needed to be a little bit longer as a finale. In that sense, that we would have maybe just had them have a bit more Starfleet time.
Yep.
Get because we didn't even get a sample. We got a morsel. We got a tongue lick of them being in fucking Starfleet, and I would like to have got a little bit of more them being immersed in this new world and seeing what just them embrace it. And I'm sure we'll get that more in episode 20, so
Oh, right.
21, I believe, or season two, episode one, however you want to call it. But yeah, overall, a very satisfying ending to a
Oh yes.
series that I had been wanting to end because this is the stage where I wanted my our crew to get to. Boone, I wanted them to get to this particular moment, and we got here, and now it's fucking ended. So, anything to say? Anything to add, mate?
It was great. I mean, you talk about crying your eyes out. I mean, when they lost Janeway, and of course, you see the part where she couldn't download herself because she grew. She grew with the
Mm-hmm.
kids and everything being on that ship, so she grew enough where they probably could have saved her program, but it'll take time to download. I
Yeah,
mean that'd be a big ass file. But
yeah,
to
yeah,
see to see the protostar blow and all those colors, and they show on Janeway's ship there that oh no, I think on Earth where it just like ring after ring after ring going down through. Then they say that they created a wormhole, and they're like, okay, they're going to get a ship, and guess where they're going to go?
yeah.
Yep,
Um,
at that
exactly, and
point, that was great.
it almost feels like Janeway didn't go because from the moment hologram Janeway died
Yeah,
or got destroyed, like real Janeway, Admiral Janeway,
yep.
got taken over. Now, I've had a discussion with a couple of people. I think it might have been from the Avalon world where they were kind of complaining about how Janeway became Vice Admiral Janeway so quickly. Like, human beings have only got so much time on this earth.
Yes,
How old does she have to fucking be to be a
right.
vice admiral? Like 90, 100 years old? Will you be happy then as a vice admiral
Well,
when she's on
well,
when
maybe
she's on a fucking yeah
well, maybe 1,000 years old. We have no
yeah?
idea.
Well, the point is, I know I gather that human beings live a lot longer in this particular period because we saw obviously McCoy over 100 years old in the Next Generation, but what I'm trying to get at is that you can't be you could be like a top tier person within Starfleet, and
Hmm.
a particular period of time. I mean, if eventually if you get too old, then you're at retirement level, aren't you? If you're still, as long as you're still young enough
Yes,
to be active, then there's no harm in being a vice admiral. In Janeway's particular circumstance and the
hmm,
sort of experiences she's had as a Starfleet officer, she has every right to be a vice admiral. I mean, how old does she need to be? Who
right.
has who has the know-how and who's able to say that she has to be this particular age or she needs this much experience to
Exactly.
be a vice admiral. I mean, regarding experience, she's got a fuck ton of it. I mean, 7 years in the Delta Quadrant, she's got more.
Yep.
That alone is more experience than most Starfleet captains could ever dream of. So yeah, 7 years in the Delta Quadrant without any Starfleet assistance whatsoever, while
Yep.
still trying to represent Starfleet's values at the
Yep.
same time. You know what I mean? Of course, she needs to be Vice fucking Admiral. It goes without
Right.
saying. So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so
Yep.
that's my defense on that. Something I forgot to bring up at one particular point because I was arguing with this one dumb bitch in the
Whoa.
Avalon. Oh god, I have to say it. I'm sorry. I look back at
That's
it
all
now,
right.
and she fucking pissed me off with her stupidity because she was like complaining about how you know she was complaining about money in the in the Starfleet in the Star Trek world, and I mentioned there is
Mhm.
no money, and she was complaining there is money, and I'm telling her this is a fictional world, and she goes to me, yeah, well, I like my fiction too, but it has to be based in reality. Still, this is a fictional world regardless of based in reality. This is a fictional world where it's been mentioned on many occasions that there's no fucking money. You know what I mean? So people work to better themselves. It's been mentioned before. They don't earn anything. We've seen people give
Right.
away their money.
Yep.
As in Boimler, we've seen people mention that they don't have any money. They don't work for money. They just want to improve who they are as people, which is why they do what they do.
Right.
Um, I think, no offense, but I think maybe for some people in your part of the world, the idea of working but not for money, is like it's mind-boggling for them. But
It is.
regardless, yeah,
It is.
yeah,
But you
regardless,
also but you also have to remember one thing, that the
mhm.
Ferengi has the gold press latinum, and they
Yeah,
love to
well,
spread
yeah,
that stuff around.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and it kind of shows you. I think they are a reminder of what money does to certain
Oh yeah, it
civilizations.
does.
You know, when you see like the evolution of Star Trek, or sorry, Starfleet,
Mhm.
because they don't have more money, how morally better they are than the Ferengi, who are known to sell out their own.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
they even take pride in selling out your family members.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, and all
Crazy,
of
huh?
that. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
They're like the Sith. You know. Anyway, so yeah, and that's why I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt today. You know, I thought I'd wear one. You know, it's the last episode of Star Trek. I
Yep.
thought, why the fuck not? So anyway, I take back that dumb bitch comment. By the way, I do apologize, but boy, that woman pissed me off. Anyways, I think we're done here. Any more? I think anything more to add? Oh,
Uh,
rankings. What are you gonna give this episode?
well, I was just gonna say it was a great episode. I did cry there for a few minutes. Losing Janeway. I was happy that they found a way to Earth, and they was able to go into Starfleet, into Starfleet Academy, which is really nice, except for one. But of course, you got to do first contact in order to do that. I tell you what, we're going to give it a big old 10 because they deserve
Yeah.
every big fingers that I got. They deserve a big 10. Big 10.
I was gonna give this episode a 7. You know,
Yeah.
I was gonna give it a 7 because I personally I thought it was pretty good, but
Yeah.
I did think it was a bit premature. I think a season finale needs to be, especially when shows are 25 minutes long. I think a finale needs just to be a little bit longer, just to not to feel like it's tying things up too quickly. But I did get emotional watching this, and I cried like a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm gonna
Same
give it an
thing,
8.
man. I did the same thing.
I'm gonna give it an 8. The heart of Star Trek, Starfleet,
Yep.
you know, the Federation, all of that. It was in this episode. Everything that
Yep.
we love about what, wanting to make this fictional reality a real reality was in this episode. Understanding, exploring, forgiving,
Right.
all of that, and then some. It was all in this episode. I love it. I love it. So 8 out of 10 for me. It's a shame there's nobody in the chat we can talk to right now as we're doing a recording to ask their opinions. But hopefully they'll
Well,
give us
I was going to say one thing. Everybody out in chat down there, give us your opinion on your rating on this episode. I'd really like to know.
yeah, please do.
Yeah.
You know, please
Sure.
let Boone know what you sorry, I've got a bit of a cough today. What you would like
Yep.
to rate this particular episode and what you thought of this episode just
Yes.
generally.
You got
Okay,
it.
well, thank you very much, Commodore Boone. I'll see you
No
later
problem.
today for the
Yep.
award ceremony,
Oh
the
boy.
Golden Glasses. I can't wait for that. Please, everybody in YouTube land, join us for that. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern and 12 midnight UK. So join us for that. And Commodore Boone, thank you very much for watching, and everyone else out there in YouTube land.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining. We'll be back with more Star Trek with Picard early next year. But until then, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube. We've
Yep.
got plenty of more stuff to review. And we are the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care.